Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's get it together, fellas. Let's get it together, everyone. New York football Giants fans, sports fans, amazing fans. It is the coach, Coach Ed Gladney here for you with you today. The day after the Giants' big win over in London against the mighty Packers. That bad man, Aaron Rodgers. The team everyone said would defeat, annihilate, the Giants had no chance of competing against. Well, our New York football Giants came back from London with that win. So I'm going to go into that in a little bit more in details. But before I do that, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when I post new content. And everyone, like and share this episode across all social media platforms to help grow the channel. It's really, really appreciated. So thank you all, thank you all, thank you all. Well, yesterday was a tale of two halves. The first half, the Packers led at halftime on the Giants, 20-10. So Aaron Rodgers was productive, getting the ball out of his hands quickly at times. Their rushing attack was decent. You know, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't dominating as was expected. They gained a total of about 104 yards total in about 20 carries. So you know, it was decent. You know, for in terms of their offensive attack. So in terms of total yards, the Giants outgained them 338 to 301. Passing, it was 213 to 207. Rushing, the Giants gained 125 yards. Packers ended up, once you take sacks into account, with 94 yards. So it's an average yards per play of 5.7 for the Giants and 4.9 for the Packers. So, you know, if you really look at the numbers, you know, it does talk about how even the two teams were. You know, I've seen some commentary today, you know, that even called the Packers average, you know, and, you know, they basically talked about how, you know, basically what the Packers didn't do and not credit what the Giants did do. Let's get into that a little bit more. Daniel Jones was 21 for 27 for 217 yards passing. What's more important, even though he didn't have any touchdowns, he had no turnovers, no interceptions. They did have a fumble, but it was recovered, so it wasn't a turnover. Saquon Barkley was Saquon Barkley for the most part. He had over 100 total scrimmage yards. He had 70 rushing, and he had 36 in terms of receptions. Daniel Jones had 37 rushing yards, and Matt Breida had 14 rushing yards. Gary Brackwell had 5 rushing yards with 1 touchdown. Barkley had 1 touchdown, and Daniel Bellinger had a 2-yard touchdown run. So, you know, the rushing attack, as you see, produced 3 touchdowns on the 125 yards in total rushing yards. Darius Slayton led the receivers with 6 receptions for 79 yards. Let me say that again. Darius Slayton led the receivers, 6 receptions for 79 yards. Now, Slayton has been the debate, let's say a debate between the fan base of whether, you know, we keep him, whether we let him go. Some didn't want him because they're concerned about drops. They feel he drops too many passes. He doesn't produce. You know, there was a large contingent that, you know, wondered why, with all the receiver injuries, why Slayton wasn't included in the plans. And yesterday just showed how important he is. Now, if you really watch the game and you study it, you see that, you know, once he was out there, the defense had to play back a little bit more because he's that deep threat. And that opens up a lot of windows. And you notice that in the second half. The first half, the Packers were pretty much stacking the box, you know, taking away Barkley as best they could. until Slayton was in the game to open it up a little bit more. And you started to see the offense start chipping away. And in the second half, they just took off. And Slayton was a big key. I mean, a lot of over in the middle of the field, he was making catches, breaking away from receivers. He's even, defenders. He was even fighting hard for extra yards whenever they were coming in for tackles. He's showing that he deserves to be here. And, the coaching staff, I implore you, if you do watch my channel, to really consider including him more, even when the other injured receivers comes back, because he will help your passing game. He will help open up other windows so those guys can be that much more effective and efficient in attacking opposing defenses. The offensive line was pretty effective, of course, in the running game, but in the passing game, because the Packers do have been known to have a very good pass rush, and they really weren't as that's how I say this. They weren't consistently putting pressure like in other games that we've seen. The Giants allowed 1 sack, while the Packers allowed 2. So that tells you now. The Packers were not able to get to Daniel Jones. That's a testament to the offensive line. You have to really start to see that they're starting to gel and starting to get a certain level of continuity. Now, there was issues with Feliciano in the middle in the first half, but one of the key adjustments that I really appreciated is where they were bringing the tight end down, and basically what is a wham block, it's a trap. So they were trapping the middle with the tight end just to throw that nose guard off a little bit so he wouldn't attack and he wouldn't push back into the offensive backfield. So, that was a great adjustment. So, offensively, I was very, I don't want to say I was ecstatic, but I was happy with what I saw. I mean, you saw Darius Slayton getting passes, Marcus Johnson getting passes, Daniel Bellinger, Ricky James, all these guys had multiple recepts. Even Davis Sills, with his up and down. Some fans want him, some don't. I mean, he made some critical plays down by the goal line, and one pass where he tiptoed down the sideline trying to keep his balance. So, you see things like that, and you start to see and you start to feel, well, it's not there. It's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but you can start to see the confidence that's building, the continuity, and the way this team and coaching staff is fighting for each other. Defensively, that second half was amazing. You were without key players. Adoree Jackson went out. You don't have Leo. I mean, the injury list goes on and on and on. But the guys who were out there were busting their tails to go out there and produce and fight for each other. The Packers scored 20 points in the first half. Offensively, they scored nothing in the second half. Again, nothing. And that's with Aaron Rodgers. Yes, they have some new receivers, but they always had a good running attack. Everything was controlled. It was controlled. Even if they got into the red zone, the defense did not let them score. And that was important. The only points they scored in the second half was a safety that the coaching staff told the punter to give late in the game, eventually punting the ball back down to them or giving a free kick on the safety kick to them to get the defense back out there. So it was a really all around good defense, great adjustments by Wink in the second half to have the defense playing the way they did, the pressure. I mean, people have talked about Kayvon Thibodeau. He hasn't had a sack. He hasn't had this, but you're not watching. The kid is forcing quarterbacks to step up. He's constantly pressuring. He's batting down balls. He's setting the edge in the run game at times. So, yes, he doesn't have the sacks, but sacks are not not the only key point of an edge rusher defensive lineman. Pressures. quarterback hits. He's had some good quarterback hits, deflected balls, staying true to your gap in the run game, setting the edge in the run games when they're trying to get outside of you. The average fan doesn't see that, and they don't they don't put that as an important factor. It's just about the sacks and tackles. And I get it. I understand. That's what the media tells you. But I'm telling you as a coach, that there's more to that. And Thibodeau is doing a good job. Shane Zimenez, Jihad Ward, even Timon Fox, they were all out there as edge rushers doing what they needed to do. The interior line, Dexter Lawrence, outstanding without Leo in there, facing double teams at times, but he's still pushing the pocket, getting sacks, getting good hits, pursuing, the ball. I can go on and on and on about, the guys on the defense. They're out there fighting for each other. They're playing fast. They're playing physically. They're having fun, and that's some of the things that has been missing, with this regime in the past. And, I'm happy to see this right now. So, kudos to everyone in the organizations, especially head coach Dave's. He's really changed the culture. He's instilled a level of confidence in the guys, a belief, and some of the fan base is starting to gain that belief, so it's really, really good to see. There's still a lot of work to do. It's still a long season. We still have 12 more games, but no matter what happens, this team is fighting for each other. So, is it a possibility that, we could see Sniff, whatever you want to, however you want to categorize it, kick the door in and get into the playoffs? Yes, there is that possibility. There is that possibility, but I'm not going to look down the road, that far down. I know there's a large gathering of 11-6, and I like that. I like that thought. I like that talk, so keep believing in that, everyone, especially Lou, with G Nation. You're the leader of that. So keep pushing it, keep speaking it into existence. Me, I'm going to be the coach. I'm going to take it one step at a time. I'm always going to preach there's a ceiling and floor, but, I do like that because as a coach, that shows me the confidence and the belief in the culture that everyone, whether it's players, fans, coaches, staff members, everyone, even starting to be across the NFL, they're starting to see what Dave's is doing with this organization. So, Lou, keep leading that push. I really respect it. And everyone else, stay true to the Big Blue, man. Stay true. 4-1. Most of us would not have believed we would have been 4-1 after 5 games. So to be there, enjoy it. Don't go too far with it. Just enjoy it. But now it's time to focus on Baltimore and Lamar Jackson and what they're going to bring to the Giants this weekend. It's going to be an exciting one, especially for Wink. Hopefully the guys rally around that and want to win this one for Wink more than anything. So, I'll get into that a little bit later. But, I just wanted to talk more about yesterday's game, and, the good feeling that that's coming from it, so, and that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to really talk about. You guys let me know what you think, how you're feeling, right with yesterday's game, what your thoughts are with the Baltimore game coming up. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you feel about my commentary. If I'm off point or my analysis, let me know. I'd love to hear from it, and I'll get back to you, whenever I can. So that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for all tuning in today, to Coach Ed's Amazing World of Sports. I'm appreciating what that you're supporting me, and any information and insight, critique that you bring to me, I will appreciate it. So thanks a lot again. I hope you guys have a great and safe day. And like I always say in sports, make sure you turn it on and turn it up. Peace.